Well, it's that time again for another review, and today we're going to be going over the Russian submarine, the K-1. So, the Soviets want to have themselves a Gato, so this is the Russian version of the Gato in a sense. Very fast, heavy hitting, non-homing torpedoes. The homing torpedoes, definitely very weak compared to the straight firing torpedoes. So if you guys like the Gato, then you're gonna like this ship because the playstyle is very similar. So this ship, sorry, this submarine, it's gonna be in the early access starting as of today, which is March 7th. But if you're watching the video after that, you're gonna be able to get it for early access during this whole patch of 14.2. And then after that, it should be on for like another month or two for early access. And then after that, it'll switch over. You can just get it in the regular game at that point for free, so you don't have to pay anything for it. But just like all my other reviews for early access ships, just wait to get the ship until it comes out. There's no point paying to get the ship early. Just wait until it comes out if you're actually interested. So what are some of the main characteristics of this ship? Well, you do get 200mm sap guns, which is pretty hilarious, with a 6-kilometer range, and they do have Elbing dispersion, so they are pretty accurate. Unfortunately though, they do like very little damage, so don't expect to get a lot of kills with this ship at all. With the guns, your main thing is going to be the torpedoes, and this ship plays almost identical to the Gato. You're not going to be underwater very often because of how slow it is underwater. On the surface, it is very quick. It's the fastest surface submarine except for the archerfish. The archerfish is faster than this with the speed boost, so this thing is a speed demon on the surface. So we're already talking about how we don't like fast submarines, and well, now we have this, so you have very quick, very fast submarine. So this has 6 front torpedoes and 4 on the back, with 3 front loading and 2 back loader for the torpedoes. Excuse me. You have a 47-second reload for the torpedoes, and the range for these torpedoes are 11.5 kilometers with a 75 knot speed and a 16.8k damage, which is very hard hitting for submarine torpedoes. And of course, you can build into that as well. The homing torpedoes are only 9-kilometer range with a 70 knot speed and a 5k damage, so they are very weak. So you're not meant to use the homing torpedoes unless you're hunting other submarines or destroyers, but the alternative, or the non-homing torpedoes, you are meant to be using on this ship. You also have a narrower torp dispersion as well, kind of like the Gatos, so you are able to do more like regular torpedoing rather than using the homing, so it's nicer in that regard. So this ship does have a not the best concealment at 6.3 kilometers, so a lot of destroyers are going to be able to outspot you. Now, the submarine surveillance is 9 kilometers, which is on par with the U-25 for the longest range for submarines. And it also gets its submarine surveillance a lot quicker than compared to other submarines. So in a sense, this thing is really good at helping track down submarines quicker early game to being able to get that submarine surveillance early. Now, you're going to have a rough time hunting submarines no matter what, but with that submarine surveillance, you are able to help your teammates get the submarine kill for you. So it's always nice. You yourself aren't going to be able to get the submarine that easily, but you can let your teammates do the killing for you. Or you could do surface fights with the guns, you know, just take your pick, do some memes with it. You do get a fast-acting DCP with a 5-second action time instead of the regular 15. And you do get 1 extra charge and a reload of 45 seconds, so it's all right. Not the best, not the worst. So the K-1's playstyle could be described as a blend of the Gato and the archerfish gameplay. Her powerful non-homing torpedoes can absolutely obliterate any ship unfortunate enough to sail into them, while her high speed lets her quickly escape any trouble spots. And these narrower torp spreads also lets her get close and shotgun, quote unquote, unaware ships. Though her short dive time often makes this a one-way trip. A lot of the time you can be on the surface, go to periscope, do the trip, run away, and go back on the surface to get your battery back. Now, speaking of diving, the K-1 is meant to be played on the surface. Her 16 knot underwater speed leaves her a sitting duck if anything rushes her. So yeah, you only want to use it for emergencies and not to use that depth because you're just so slow underwater that you're not going to be able to really go anywhere or run away. And this also means that like if you get spotted, you want to dive as quickly as possible because again, you're definitely going to need to dive as quickly as possible to dodge a Columbo salvo because Columbos can 100% one-shot pretty much any submarine in the game. So definitely be careful of that. Now, how I would say playing this ship, at the start of the match, you want to dive to 8 meters and burn some battery time at periscope depth. So to be able to move around really quick while you drain the battery to activate the enlarged propeller shaft. Now, this will make it where you can zip around at the back line at about 47 knots, which is insanely quick for a submarine. Or you can use it to set up on the sides to do devastating strikes, flank torpedo salvos, and also be able to spot for your team. So have you seen a lot of U-45s do? What they do is they'll go along the 1 or 10 line to get on the flank of, the enemy or your team. And they'll launch torps from the side without pinging or with pinging, and they're just an absolute nightmare. This is kind of the similar play style you'll do with this ship, or you can be more passive and kind of play the more traditional destroyer position, and you can just launch your torpedoes over and over and over again with that 47-second reload. Now, alternatively, you can just sit slightly ahead of your allies and try to trap the enemy submarine because you have that guaranteed submarine surveillance that comes off of cooldown first. So you have a narrow window in the early game where you attack the enemy sub with impunity. Now, if you're near your allies, you can potentially one-shot the enemy sub before he can really react, making your life easier and earning praises from your teammates for spotting the sub. So a lot of the time, the targets you're going to be looking for are going to be low mobility targets like battleships or island camping cruisers. Outside of the first 4 to 5 minutes, try to avoid subs as your weak homing torpedoes and poor maneuverability will leave you at a severe disadvantage. Also, Bo is chewing something, so if you heard that earlier, I apologize. I was curious what that was. But no, though, this thing isn't the best at fighting subs, but it is good at spotting them with that submarine surveillance. So definitely make use of that to being able to pressure an enemy sub to keep away from your allies or for your allies to be able to kill them. But yeah, out of this ship and the Seal, I'll be doing a video on the Seal as well next week, so you guys can watch that. But I find this ship to be a lot harder to play than compared to the Seal, just due to the fact that the Seal relies 100% on its homing, while this relies more on skill with the positioning and with the non-homing torpedoes. So if you're looking for an easier sub, then I'd say the Seal. But if you're looking for a tougher sub to play or a more maneuverable sub, then the K-1 is going to be for you. But again, if you want to spend the money on this sub, you can go right ahead. But I would just recommend waiting for the sub to come out of early access instead of spending hundreds of dollars on that. Oh, by the way, in the event pass, the battle pass, there are camos for the Petro and other Russian cruisers. So if you guys are interested in that, you can definitely go and check out in the battle pass. If you're like missing any of those camos and you're wanting those camos, I definitely suggest checking those out because they do have a lot of those older ones that a lot of people were missing out on from the past. So definitely check that out. The battle pass is 2,500 doubloons. Like it normally is, so you can spend that if you like or not, up to you. It's more of like a personal preference if you want to spend money on that kind of stuff. because there's normally a lot of goodies along the way as well. But yeah, so far, let me know what you guys think of today's video. Also, let me know what you guys think of the K-1 sub. Do you like the sub? Do you not like it? Again, I know that everyone's thoughts are going to be, why are they adding more subs to the game? So I'm right there with you. I really don't enjoy playing Submarine. So to me, the K-1 isn't really my cup of tea, personally. But I know everyone has their own style, so if you like submarines, then this will be a unique play style for you. It's pretty much like a Gato and an archerfish combined and had a baby, and this is pretty much what it is. The seal, when I do a video on that, I still have to write my review for that one. I haven't written my review for it yet, but yeah, I definitely recommend the seal more than this thing. But also you could just buy the seal. It is kind of weird that they actually made it where you could just straight up buy the seal in a Admiral pack. So instead of having to like gamble, like, okay, they gave it multiple options for the seal, right? You can gamba for the seal, you can do bundles for it, or you can just straight up buy it. And also, Killer Bin is also a commander now as well. Yeah, the Ramium play Killer Bin is also a commander. So you can get the Killer Bin commander, which I think is pretty cool. I think it is anyway. But yeah, if you guys are interested in the new Killer Bin commander, definitely let me know. I'm actually curious how many people are interested in him as a commander. I think it's a pretty cool addition. So hopefully you guys enjoy him as a commander if he's around. So I'll think it'll be pretty cool. But yeah, overall, this ship, it can be fun to play. But with how the meta is normally, it's going to be a little bit rough to get in like a really good position due to its concealment and how a lot of the time there's going to be ships at the 1 or 10 lines that kind of stop submarines from sneaking by. So you're not going to be as aggressive as you'd like to, because again, if you dive below periscope, you're going to be only going 16 knots. You're not going to be able to go very quickly. So you're not going to build a maneuver, so you have to stay as periscope or surface to stay maneuverable. Because if you dive, you're just going to be a slug. I mean, you're not going to be moving anywhere. It's not going to be a fun time at all, and you're not going to enjoy yourself. You got to use that speed. You got to use that maneuverability to your advantage. If you don't, then you're going to be suffering a lot of the time, for sure. But yeah, this thing has some really hard-hitting torpedoes. And the fact that you get 6 on the front and 4 on the rear, oh god. And you can build into the torpedoes too. So they already do like a 16.8k base, right? And you can build into that to get them even higher. Oh god, man. You can also make them go quicker too. So these are some really hard-hitting torpedoes for a submarine. Now, are they as hard-hitting as a Gato? I think the Gato still has it beat for harder-hitting torpedoes. But this thing is faster than a Gato. The archerfish is the only thing that is quicker. It is interesting that a tech tree is faster than the Gato, which is a steel ship. I do find that a little bit interesting. It could be a little bit of a Soviet bias for the memes, maybe. Maybe a little. I know the guns are pretty memey, and in this replay, I do get a kill with the guns. So I do think that's pretty hilarious. It is pretty funny. But anyway, I'm gonna showcase the build of the ship, and after that, I'll be done for today's video. All right, so let's take a look at the build of the K-1. For the K-1, I build mostly in the torpedoes, so main armament, then engine room protection, since you're not really going to be using pings too much. The torpedo tubes, the 3rd slot, then propulsion in the 4th. 5th slot is going to be reinforced bulkhead, and 6 is going to be torpedoes to get a faster reload for them torpedoes. For the commander, I take helmsman to be able to make it where if I'm using my hydrophone, excuse me, I get faster diving times and turning of the sub. Then after that, I do consumable enhancement, After that, I do watchful, then enlarge propeller, then improve battery, then superintendent, then consumable specialist, or you can do consumable specialist first and then superintendent, and then after that I would do liquidator. And that's the build that I run on the K-1. At first I thought this was more of a submarine hunter, but the more that I played it, I realized it's legit more of just a Russian Gato, with the fact that you're mostly just using the non-homing torpedoes, and you're more going to be on the surface a lot of the time, so you don't really need to focus on pinging or any of that really on this thing. So if you guys have any questions or concerns, let me know in the comments down below, but thank y'all for watching, and I'll talk to y'all later.